Sid and Friends in the morning.
Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
And I understand we're going to have Peter King come on.
He's with us right now.
Dominic, why don't you bring him in?
Well, Congressman, so nice to chat with you on this Memorial Day 2026. Jake Novak here, of course, Mr. Catsimatidis, myself, Dominic Carter. How are you doing this morning, Congressman?
Dominic, I'm doing fine. I look forward always to talking to you on Tuesday afternoon, but today is an added pleasure. But seriously, today's Memorial Day, and probably no one does more to honor veterans in New York and WABC and John and the entire crew there. And it really is, I think, important in these days that we stand by institutions, and no institution is more important than the military, who defend our country in time of war, who keeps the peace. And it just, to me, it's so important that we not forget. I know that people like the barbecues and different events on Memorial Day, but really what it comes down to mostly is honoring those who made the ultimate sacrifice. And also, on a slightly separate issue, if I could, let me give Governor David Paterson tremendous credit for speaking out against the governor and the state legislature and supporting ICE and supporting the rights of county executives like Bruce Blakeman to enter into agreements, cooperation agreements between the police and ICE. And John, you always say, where are the common sense Democrats? Well, there's one right now, what David Paterson has done. He's always been a great guy, but to do it today really takes a lot of guts, because his party has gone so far to the left, and he's really taken them on this issue. And again, he's a true Democrat, but more importantly, he's a true American.
Well, David Paterson, Governor Paterson, made it to a big article in New York Post based on what he talked about on my show, the Cats Roundtable, yesterday morning. And maybe we'll have Justin, maybe we'll have Governor Paterson call in and see how he feels about things after Peter King. And look, I was a member of the Democratic Party. Congressman William Fitzryan gave me the congressional nomination to West Point. You got, there was a lot of great Democrats, but the Democratic Socialist Party on their own could only get 2% of the vote. They decided, let's use our money, wherever it's coming from, foreign money, wherever it's coming from, to take over the Democratic Party, and then we have a chance of winning. And the Democratic Party has a lot of soul searching. I even had on Friday, Doug Schoen was on our show. And the Democratic Party has to go back to normal.
Well, you mentioned Doug Schoen. He's a great guy, and that's why some people just attack Democrats. Listen, my parents are Democrats. Many of us came from Democratic backgrounds. And you think of Democrats like Ed Koch, Joe Lieberman. You couldn't, Scoop Jackson. You couldn't find better people than those. But again, right now, this party, the way it is today, has gone so far to the left. So I'm not here to make a big partisan argument, but to say that in times when it appears that at least one party has gone way off the cliff, there are good people like David Paterson out there. Hopefully he can bring it back, and we can have really intelligent political debates and not some of the insanity that's going on today. And also, you were talking before to Todd Shapiro about Bruce Blakeman. I think Bruce has an outstanding chance to win. When I look at the polls and they say that Kathy Hochul is winning by 13 or 14 points, the fact is, to me, the key number is her favorable numbers are usually around 45 and 46. She's ahead of Bruce like 46-34. Well, I've been in politics long enough to know if you're the incumbent and you've been in office for 4 or 5 years and you can't get 50% of the people to stay there for you, that means that's fertile ground, for Bruce to make up. And a lot of those people are disenchanted. They're looking somewhere else. And I think Bruce is campaigning so hard. He's making tremendous inroads. So I definitely can see Bruce winning in November.
He has a good shot. And I'm trying to reach him this morning, have him come on later on. If you reach him, Peter, let him know that we're trying to reach him. And you know what I'm saying? And he was at the breakfast on Saturday morning, and you've spoken to that breakfast many, many times. You know what I said? Bruce Blakeman, you made Nassau County the safest county in America. I think there's 2,558 counties in America. Nassau County was the safest of the 2,558, whatever it is. And what would you do with New York? And I said, make it the safest state in America.
Well, there's no nonsense with Bruce. I mean, the fact is he's increased the number of police officers but not raised taxes. And anytime there's demonstrations, any of the anti-ICE demonstrations or whatever, the police under Pat Ryder and Bruce Blakeman, they set out a line. They say you cannot cross this line. If you're going to demonstrate, you do it here and nowhere else. And if they do, they get arrested, and it's strictly enforced. Also, the police are working very closely with ICE, going after criminal illegal immigrants, not just going after illegal immigrants, but those with criminal records where ICE needs assistance. The Nassau police are there to give that assistance and cooperate and work with them. And who doesn't want these people off the streets? I mean, who wants to have, whether you're legal or illegal, if you're a criminal, if you have a record and you're a sex trafficker, if you're a rapist, if you're a murderer, if you're a bank robber, who wants you on the street? So that's, to me, in some ways, it's... and we were having this conversation 10 years ago. People wouldn't know what we're talking about. These are just issues that have just developed and unfortunately have taken over. It's absolutely insane.
I'm still trying to figure out why they want to close Rikers Island and spend $14 billion building jails in your local community in the Bronx, in Queens, and Staten Island put their foot down. I'm not sure about Staten Island. Manhattan and Chinatown. I mean, I can't figure out. The city doesn't have any money, and they want to spend $14 billion in jails and reduce the jail population that's possible in Rikers Island from 28,000 down to 4,000. What are you going to do? Let more criminals on the streets?
It makes absolutely no sense. And that's why, John, you were saying before how we have to straighten out the voting. Yeah, we do have to, and that is an issue. But really, we have to get people to understand who they're voting for, and do they understand what they're doing? I mean, Mandami, whether or not every vote was legal or not, the fact is he got a tremendous amount of votes in the last election. And again, how many people really support these policies? I mean, they're hard to find, and yet right now he is the mayor. And I'm not even questioning his integrity or anything else. I think he's very committed to what he believes in. I just think his ideas are dangerous for New York, dangerous for the the people in the neighborhoods, people in the communities, people who want to have the type of peace and tranquility and order that we had when we had Giuliani and Bloomberg as our mayors. I think, if anything, we took it for granted. Things went so well for all those years after really tough years, but once those guys come in and what they did, they turned the whole city around, and you never even thought about walking down the street or taking the subway. That's all changed now.
Congressman King, I'm Jake Novak, your former constituent still on Nassau County, and you talked about these crazy policies. I'm sorry to say this, but it seems to me very logical why they're pursuing these ruinous policies. Follow the money. With this Act Blue and these other organizations, it's clear to me, sir, that our foreign enemies have become the primary funders for the Democratic Party. That's why they're pursuing. I mean, anyone could tell you don't empty the jails. Anyone could tell you don't foster anti-Semitism. These are the things that have destroyed civilizations throughout history. And it's our enemies who want these policies. And suddenly we're finding out that it's foreign-based donors through Act Blue or whatever organization that are donating the money. I'm sorry, I see a straight line. How about you?
I don't know if it's a straight line. I know it's an influence, and I think that whatever money they do get, they're able to maximize it because it's used primarily in primaries, and that's really, as far as the Democratic Party is concerned, in fact, both parties, you're lucky if 15% of the people come out to vote in the primary. So if you have the money to generate support, if you can just get 8-9% of the voters to come out and they're on your side, you're going to win a big primary election. And there's also the fact that the more extreme voters come out in primaries. So if you have the money to find out where they are, who they are, and get them out, so there's no doubt funding is an issue. But on the other hand, still, in the general election, I mean, 50% of New Yorkers voted for Mandami. That all can't be through foreign money. A lot of it's because people just have lost interest or don't care, or for some reason willing to look the other way, or somehow think there's something clever about it. Like, for instance, and I'm not Jewish, and I'm always reluctant to go into other people's religions, but how can such a large percentage of Jewish voters vote for someone like Mandami, who, by his own statements, is anti-Israel, certainly very critical of Jews, And he says it's not anti-Semitism, but all the buzzwords are there. So it's a combination of things. Funding is one of them, but also just for some reason, whether it's because of social media, whether it's because of a poor education system, but so many people are just, to me, out of touch with what they should be concerned about.
Congressman Peter King, we have to take a quick break, but can you stick with us for a while because you just opened up another can of worms we got to talk to you about. Please stick with us. It's John Catsimatidis, Jake Novak, and Dominic Carter in for Sid and Friends this morning on this Memorial Day. We'll be right back with Congressman Peter King. And we have former Congressman Peter King on the line. And Congressman King, we were talking about the New York race, the Bruce Blakeman situation. And of course, a lot of listeners, and certainly you understand this, whenever you have a statewide race in New York, it's always downstate versus upstate. There's always that dichotomy. And when you have a downstate candidate, and even though he's not from the city, Bruce Blakeman is Nassau County, he is a downstate candidate. Usually it's a hard sell upstate. But Congressman, I think he's got a great sell. He can go to Rochester. He can go to Buffalo. He can go to Oneonta and say, hey, I'm your demand to defend you from this mayor in New York City who's going after your tax money too. I'm the guy who can defend you. Doesn't he have a better selling point than some of his fellow Republicans in the past?
Yeah, I think he really does, because he can say, listen, I'm on the front lines. Literally, Bruce is like the Border Patrol here. Nassau County is right on the border of New York City, and we saw in the previous years what's happened is crime can come across the border when you had many illegal immigrants were being stationed in locations right on the border. And so, and he can say, I deal directly with every day. I know what it's all about. This isn't just some philosophical issue. I'm right there. I can carry that fight out. And Bruce has been all over by upstate New York. And he's not getting all the coverage maybe he needs down here, because people say to me, Bruce has to spend more time upstate. He's all over the place upstate, plus doing his job as county executive, plus being heavily involved in New York City and around. So Bruce is genuinely running a statewide campaign, and he's putting everything into it. Also, I can put another plug. Janine Driscoll is running for Congress. She lives in the Nassau County section of Belrose, which is literally right on the Queens border. Parts of it almost like protrude into Queens. So she sees it every day. She has a son who's the NYPD. She's, again, very much involved. And so we now have candidates who can speak with authority about what it means to live so close to a socialist mayor who is not standing with the police. So, no, but Bruce is, I don't know if anyone, Bruce is in this all the way. And, a lot of candidates, they get the nomination in May or June or whatever it happens to be, then they take their time and they come back after Labor Day. Bruce has been going on this almost since the last election. He's been day in and day out going everywhere he can to get the vote out. And his message should resonate as much upstate as it does in Nassau and Suffolk County and down in Queens and Staten Island.
I really agree with you, Congressman. I'm so tired of people telling me the same thing. Oh, he's not running a hard enough campaign. I mean, honestly, it's like every backseater, backbencher saying that they could do a better job. I think he's working pretty hard. I really do.
Hey, very Congressman, hard, let me ask you this question. So we spoke about this earlier. In terms of, you got this guy, 21 years old, running around talking about he's Jesus. The Secret Service had wanted him locked up before, or at least a mental watch. The latest shooting at the White House. What I'm trying to figure out, Congressman King, is real simple. Why can't we just, as a country, get more psychiatric beds and open up these hospitals? Because you've got to lock these nuts up. It really is that simple.
Dominic, I agree with you 100%. We need more psychiatric beds. We need more attention to mental health. And also, we have to tell judges and those evaluating people to realize that you're not doing anyone a favor by putting mental patients out on the street too soon. Now, again, their excuse can be, we're so backed up, there's no room. Well, that's really no excuse overall. So we have to provide more facilities, get more attention to it, and also tell judges and those who are making these evaluations to be strict in how they do it. And it's the danger of having, here's somebody right near the White House who they know is a mental patient who is mentally ill, and it was really only a matter of time before this happened. And I'm surprised it doesn't happen more often, because there are people out there, unfortunately, suffering from mental illness. And, it was listen, we can't keep every emancipation locked up forever. That's unfair. But on the other hand, you can't go so far as you're being so loose and relaxed and putting people out in the street, they don't belong there. So as it is now, this guy is dead, and some other person is wounded, and it could have been an overall catastrophe if the Secret Service hadn't done its job.
Now, I mean, let's talk about our current mayor a second, Peter. And a lot of people get me on television and other radio shows to talk about that. There's two ways. I gave him a little bit of a break and say the first 100 days is not enough. He's only 34 years old. Let's see what happens the first 150 days. But we're going to be coming up on that. And Jake, you and Dominic, you ring in on it. I mean, I really think that he's playing the violin to his supporters. But at the end of the day, is it a violin? Is it him? Is he going to have any common sense? And that's what the determination has to be on the 150th day.
Well, I would think not, John. I think that these are not mistakes. He is a committed socialist. I think he's very intelligent. I think he's honest to his ideology, and I think he intends to implement it. He knows what he wants to do, and he's putting people in key positions all around to implement those policies. So far, one strong point definitely, though, has been Jessica Tisch as our police commissioner. But in other situations, like, the way he wants to tax the rich, he calls it, which is just going to drive the tax base out of New York City, he's committed to that. He believes in that. That is it's hardcore left-wing socialist economics, and he believes in it. It's been a catastrophe everywhere it's worked. They've implemented it in the world, but he wants to try it. And not try it, he wants to implement it. He believes in it strongly. So I am not optimistic going forward.
So he's not going to, I said to him, you have to use your intelligence to realize you're either going to be on the edge of disaster or the edge of success. And, it's up to him that the other part, I think he really believes that his future depends on the type of people he's been attracting for the last few years. Dominic, any thoughts?
I'm not a fan at all. I agree with the assessment that Congressman just made. He really is carrying out what he truly believes. He's a disaster. I don't know how to pull my punches. He is a disaster. He's one of the worst things to ever happen to New York. It is terribly offensive what he's doing with the Jewish community almost every day.
What is he doing with the black community? I understand, maybe under Mayor Adams, you had too many blacks. And you did. And now you did. And now you have too little.
I was a fan of Mayor Adams in the beginning. I really wished him the best. One of the biggest mistakes that he made during his tenure, two mistakes, and then I'll let Congressman and Jake follow up. Two mistakes. When he fell into the trap that Governor Abbott set for him on the migrants, welcoming those migrants here to New York. That was the beginning of the end for him. And the second mistake he made is when you're elected mayor, you've got to go to a certain degree with establishment. For lack of a better term right now, and I know his heart, he wanted to bring in qualified African-American and Latinos into city government. But you've got to make sure that these people are properly vetted. He had too many people around him that frankly, were crooks. Under investigation, police commissioner had to step down, deputy mayor under fire. I still would take Eric Adams any day over Mamdani.
I agree with you 100%.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I do think one of the biggest mistakes he made, though, was not letting Commissioner Keyshawn Sewell do her job.
Absolutely.
She would have been an outstanding commissioner, as Jessica Tisch is now. But other than that, and also when Keyshawn was the commissioner, again, too many of Eric Adams' cronies and friends were trying to call the shots, interfering with the job she was doing. But like you, I like Eric Adams. I think he meant well. I just think that he didn't realize the enormity of the job and brought in people that were friends of his. He trusted them, and he shouldn't have.
Congressman King, go ahead.
And that happens to a lot. Jake, you can go ahead with your question. That happens to a lot of politicians. We saw the same thing in the last term of Ed Koch. with people that he trusted, and we know how that ended, Congressman King. And Jake, I want to turn over to you, but I'm just not a fan at all. So I guess in the next segment, Mr. Catsimatidis can tell me, because I have no desire to meet this guy. I think he's a straight-up con man, Mamdani. He can tell me what it was like to sit face-to-face with this guy. But go ahead, Jake.
Again, the thing that hits me the most, and you said it, John, is when you say 34 years old. And no disrespect to younger folks and things like that, but I don't know, communist or no communist, anti-Semite or no anti-Semite, if any 34-year-old can really grasp this position. One of the good things you can say about the United States is we have a pretty old age for adulthood in this country. In other words, unlike some of these impoverished countries where at 12 years old, you got to be like a soldier and provide for your family. In this country, even people who are lower middle class aren't necessarily thrown into adulthood that young. My point is, this is someone who doesn't, in my opinion, understand that these theories are things that you pass around in a college classroom aren't real. He hasn't had enough of real life. Real job?
34 years old is too young for that job.
Yeah.
Number one, not
Absolutely.
enough life experiences. And the chance I gave him, Dominic, and the chance I gave him, Jay and Peter, was the fact is you are an intelligent guy. You got to make up your mind. And it's up to him. I mean, that's the chance I gave him. And if he's going to fail, he's going to fail.
I just don't think he has it.
He's already turned the business community completely against him.
He really pissed off not only the small business community, and maybe we'll have Fernando Mateo talk about that later, and the big business community, the Griffiths, the Ken Griffiths of the world. Jamie Dimon himself said we had 33,000 employees in J.P. Morgan, and now we're down to like 25,000. And he's building in Texas, and I understand now he's building in Tampa, St. Pete.
That's right. Congressman Peter King, thank you so much for joining us. Have a meaningful Memorial Day, as I know you will.
Thank you very much. And I've been texting Bruce Blakeman, trying to get hold of him. Tell him that John wants him, and when John wants people, they usually end up showing up.
Thanks for listening to Sid and Friends in the Morning. You can hear Sid and Friends in the Morning weekday mornings at 6. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?